never believed in ghosts until I became one. The worst part isn't being dead. It's being trapped in my own home, watching my wife move on with another man. A man who isn't what he appears to be.
3 months. That's how long I've been stuck here. 3 months of watching her cry herself to sleep, of seeing her friends comfort her, of witnessing her slow return to something resembling normal, and now this.
I remember the accident clearly. The late drive home from work, the deer that appeared out of nowhere, the swerve, the tree. The pain was brief. The confusion that followed was not. I spent days screaming at my wife, begging her to see me, to hear me. But I was nothing to her. Just cold air that made her shiver occasionally.
I wish I could leave this place. I've tried. God, I've tried. But something keeps me here. Some invisible tether that stretches only to the property line before yanking me back like a dog on a chain.
At first, I thought I was here to protect her, to watch over her. That's what ghosts do, right? But then he showed up, 2 months after my funeral. A friend of a friend who came to help her with some yard work. Tall, handsome, charming, everything I wasn't.
I knew something was wrong with him the moment he stepped through the door. Living people give off a kind of warmth, a light. He had none of that, just a cold, empty space where his soul should be.
I watched him charm my wife, watched him fix things around the house, my house, watched him slowly work his way into her life, into my life, and there was nothing I could do but scream into the void.
I think I'm finally ready to move some of his things to the attic. It's been 3 months, and the grief counselor says I need to start reclaiming my space.
Of course, whatever you need. I'm here to help, remember?
His voice makes my skin crawl, if I still had skin. There's something underneath it, something hiding behind his perfect smile and gentle eyes. Something ancient and hungry.
I've tried everything to warn her. I've knocked pictures off walls, flickered lights, even managed to move a pen once to try to write a message. But I'm weak, and he's strong. So much stronger than he should be.
At night, when she's asleep, he changes. Not physically, something more subtle. He stands at the foot of our bed, my bed, and watches her with eyes that reflect light like an animal's. Sometimes he whispers things in a language I don't recognize. And sometimes I swear he looks directly at me and smiles.
You know this house has such character, so much history in these walls.
That's what drew us to it. My husband loved the craftsmanship.
I bet he did. And I bet he loved you very much.
He did.
I watch him place his hand on hers. His fingers are always cold. She's mentioned it before, laughing about his poor circulation. If only she knew.
Last night, I followed him when he thought she was asleep. He went down to the basement, a place she never goes, and stood in the center of the room. He closed his eyes and spread his arms, and I swear the darkness gathered around him like a cloak. The air grew thick and heavy, and I felt myself being pushed back, as if the very space rejected my presence.
I'm getting stronger, though. Each day, I can move a little more, affect the physical world a little more. I've learned to focus my energy, to channel my rage and fear into brief moments of connection.
I knocked over his coffee this morning, right into his lap. He looked up, right at me, and for a moment his face changed. It wasn't human, not even close.
My wife didn't notice. She was too busy apologizing, grabbing towels, fussing over him. But I saw it. And he knew I saw it.
I'm so sorry about that. The table must be uneven.
No harm done. Things happen for a reason, don't they?
That night, after she fell asleep, he came for me. Not to the bedroom, but to the small office where I used to work, where I spend most of my time now. He closed the door behind him and stood in the darkness.
I know you're here. I can feel you watching. You should have moved on, you know. Crossed over, whatever you want to call it.
I tried to respond, to manifest, to do anything, but his presence seemed to drain my energy.
This is my house now, my life, and soon she'll be mine too. Not just her body, her soul, her essence. Do you know how rare it is to find someone like her, so pure, so untainted?
He moved to my desk, ran his fingers over the picture of my wife and me on our wedding day.
I've been looking for someone like her for, well, longer than you can imagine. And now you're in my way. A minor inconvenience, but an inconvenience nonetheless.
I summoned every ounce of strength I had and managed to flicker the desk lamp. Once, twice, a pathetic display of defiance.
Cute. But you're fading, friend. Every day, a little more of you disappears. Soon you'll be nothing but a memory. And memories can't protect anyone.
He was right. I could feel myself becoming less substantial. In the beginning, I could touch things if I concentrated hard enough. Now, most days, I pass through solid objects without even noticing.
But he made a mistake that night. He revealed himself to me, showed me what I was dealing with. And knowledge, even in death, is power.
I began to watch him more carefully, to study him. I noticed patterns. He avoided certain things. Iron, salt, the small silver cross my wife kept in her jewelry box. He never entered a room without being invited first. And most importantly, he couldn't see me when I stood in direct sunlight.
I started to experiment, to test my limits and his. I discovered that if I concentrated hard enough, I could move small objects. Not much, a pencil, a coin, a page of a book, but it was something.
One afternoon, while my wife was at work and he was in the shower, I managed to open her laptop. It took everything I had, but I typed a single word into a search engine. Revenant. The results were illuminating.
Not a ghost, not a demon, something in between, something that feeds on grief and loneliness, something that replaces loved ones, slowly consuming the life force of those left behind.
I needed to warn her. But how? She couldn't see me, couldn't hear me. And he was always there, watching, waiting.
I found the strangest thing today. My laptop was open to some weird page about spirits or something.
Probably just a pop-up. You know how those things work. Always trying to sell you something.
Maybe, but I don't remember leaving my computer on.
You've been under a lot of stress. It's easy to forget little things.
I watched his eyes. They never blinked when he lied. Never.
That night I tried something new. Instead of fighting against the constraints of death, I embraced them. I stopped trying to be solid, to be human. I let myself become pure energy, pure intention.
And for the first time, since I died, I entered her dreams.
It wasn't easy. Her mind resisted at first, confused by my presence, but eventually I broke through.
In her dream, we were back at our favorite beach. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. She was sitting on the sand, watching the waves.
I miss this place.
I miss you.
I know. I miss you too.
He's not what he seems.
Who?
The man in our house. He's dangerous. Look at the signs, the cold hands, the way animals react to him, the way he never enters a room without being asked.
She frowned, the dream beginning to shift and distort around us.
This isn't real. You're not real.
I'm real. I'm still here. And you're in danger.
I can't do this. I can't keep holding on to ghosts.
That's exactly what he wants, for you to let go, so he can take my place completely.
The dream began to collapse, her mind rejecting the nightmare I was creating.
The silver cross. Use the silver cross.
I shouted as the connection broke. I found myself back in our bedroom, watching her toss and turn, sweat beading on her forehead. Beside her, he lay perfectly still, eyes open, staring at the ceiling.
That was very rude of you.
He spoke softly, not turning his head. My wife didn't stir.
Entering her dreams? A desperate move. And ultimately, futile.
I tried to respond, but I was drained. The dream had taken everything I had.
You know what happens to ghosts who interfere? They don't just fade away, they're erased. Completely. No afterlife, no reincarnation, just nothing.
He sat up slowly, careful not to wake my wife.
I'm going to enjoy this.
He moved through the house with purpose, gathering items as he went. Salt, candles, a knife from the kitchen, my pocket knife that I kept in my desk drawer. He took them all to the basement.
I followed, though every instinct told me to run, to hide, but where could I go? I was tethered to this house, to her.
In the basement, he arranged the candles in a circle and lit them one by one. He poured the salt in strange patterns on the concrete floor. Symbols I didn't recognize but somehow understood were meant to trap me. to bind me.
Come out, wherever you are.
I stayed in the shadows, gathering what little strength I had left.
No? Need some motivation?
He pulled out his phone and dialed.
Hello.
Hey, sorry to wake you. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I had to step out for a bit, emergency at work, and I got worried.
I'm fine. Just had a weird dream. About him, my husband. It felt so real.
Dreams often do. Try to get some rest. I'll be home soon.
He hung up and smiled into the darkness.
See, she's all alone up there, vulnerable, confused. If something were to happen to her while I'm down here, well, who would know?
It was a threat, a clear one, and it worked.
I stepped into the circle of candles, making myself as visible as I could. It took everything I had, but I managed to manifest enough that he could see me clearly.
There you are, the grieving husband, the protective spirit. How noble, how utterly pointless.
What are you?
And what comes after. I'm what fills the void when love dies. I'm the replacement.
You feed on her grief.
I transform it into devotion, into love, into sustenance. She'll give herself to me willingly. They always do.
Not her.
Especially her. Her capacity for love is extraordinary. Do you know how rare that is? How precious? It will sustain me for decades.
He began to chant words in that strange language I'd heard him whisper before. The air grew thick, heavy with something that wasn't quite smoke. The candle flame stretched upward, unnaturally tall and blue.
I felt it then, a pulling sensation, like being sucked through a narrow tube. My essence, my very being was being compressed, contained.
Goodbye, husband. Your watch has ended.
In that moment, as I felt myself being erased, I remembered something, a detail from my research. Revenants, for all their power, have rules, limitations. They can't take what isn't freely given.
With my last bit of strength, I lunged, not at him but at one of the candles. I knocked it over, breaking the circle.
The effect was immediate. The chanting stopped. The pressure released. And for the first time since my death, I felt powerful.
Now,
He tried to relight the candle, to repair the circle, but I was faster now, stronger. I knocked over another candle, and another.
You made a mistake. This is my house, my wife, my afterlife.
you're nothing. A memory, a fading echo.
Maybe, but I'm her memory, her echo, not yours.
I focused all my energy, all my love for my wife, all my rage at this creature, into one desperate act. I entered him. Not his dreams, his actual being.
It was like plunging into ice water, cold, so cold it burned. His thoughts were alien, ancient, memories of countless lives, countless victims, but also rules, boundaries, weaknesses.
I fought him from within, pushing against his control. Upstairs, I heard movement. My wife, awake, coming to investigate the noise from the basement.
Hello? Are you down there?
Using his voice, fighting against his will with every word I called out.
Don't come down, stay away.
What's going on? Are you okay?
I forced his body to move, to grab the silver cross he'd brought down as part of his ritual. His skin burned where it touched the metal, but I didn't care. I wasn't the one feeling the pain.
I made him hold it, press it against his chest. The agony was excruciating, even secondhand, but it was working. I could feel him weakening, his hold on this form slipping.
I'm coming down.
Too late, she appeared at the bottom of the stairs, eyes wide at the scene before her. The candles, the salt patterns, her boyfriend on his knees, clutching a silver cross to his chest, his skin smoking.
What is this?
For a moment, just a moment, I managed to take full control.
He's not human. Check my search history. Revenant. Look at the cross burning him. Run.
Then he reasserted control, throwing the cross aside with a howl of pain and rage.
Don't listen, it's a misunderstanding.
But she had seen enough. The burning skin, the ritual circle, the inhuman rage in his eyes.
Stay away from me.
You don't understand. I love you. I need you.
You're not even human, are you?
She backed up the stairs, one step at a time. He tried to follow, but couldn't cross the salt line I'd made him spill across the bottom step.
Please. Don't leave me.
His voice changed then, becoming desperate, hungry. His face began to shift, revealing something beneath the handsome features, something ancient and terrible.
My husband was right. In my dream, he warned me.
He's nothing, a memory. I am real. I am here.
She reached the top of the stairs and slammed the door. I heard the lock click, heard her running, grabbing her keys, her phone, the front door opening and closing.
Inside him, I felt a change, a weakening. Without her presence, without her grief and loneliness to feed on, he was diminishing.
This isn't over. She'll come back. They always come back.
Not this time.
I gathered the last of my strength and pushed, not out of him, but deeper in, merging with him completely, trapping us both.
If I was tethered to this house, then so was he. As long as I held on, as long as I didn't let go, he couldn't follow her.
Days passed, maybe weeks. Time moves differently when you're neither fully dead nor alive. I held him there in the basement as he grew weaker and weaker. As my wife stayed away, staying with friends, consulting experts, learning the truth.
When she finally returned, she wasn't alone. She brought people who knew about such things, who had the knowledge and tools to cleanse the house, to banish him permanently.
I felt him fight as they worked, as they purified each room. But he was too weak, and I held him too tightly.
In the end, as the final prayers were spoken and the last protections put in place, I felt him dissolve, not into nothing, into me. His memories, his knowledge, his power. All of it absorbed into my being.
And then, something unexpected happened. As he faded, the tether that bound me to the house weakened. I could move freely now, beyond the property line, beyond the neighborhood.
But I didn't leave, not yet. I watched as my wife rebuilt her life, as she healed properly this time. I watched over her, not as a jealous ghost, but as a guardian, a protector.
Months passed. She began to smile again, to laugh, to live. And I realized something important. I wasn't trapped in this house. I had trapped myself. With my grief, my jealousy, my fear of moving on.
The day she met someone new, someone genuinely kind, genuinely human. I knew it was time to say goodbye, time to move on.
I left her a sign, nothing dramatic, just a single flower from our wedding bouquet, preserved in a book, placed on her pillow. A goodbye, a blessing.
I don't know what waits beyond. But I know what doesn't, an eternity of watching life move on without me, of being permanently haunted by what I've lost.
As I finally let go, as I feel myself dissolving into whatever comes next, I understand the truth. The only thing that truly haunts us, in life or in death, is our refusal to let go. And sometimes the bravest thing we can do is simply move on.